CQ, 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 and welcome back to the 599 Signal Report. I am your host, Ron, W2ELS. In the shack with me today, I have Jack, W3CT. Jack, you are 599 coming out in the very Yankee. How am I sounding?
Hey, Ron, you're 599 also coming into Pennsylvania. Great copy on you, good signal, and really powerful energy you have tonight.
Roger that, roger that. Thank you for Papa Alpha, Jack. It is a pleasure to get you on the podcast. I am looking forward to this conversation that we're going to have today.
Yeah, Ron, I was very happy when you asked. It's like, wow, I feel honored to be on your podcast, man. Thanks for asking.
All right, well, let's get right into it. I always start with all of my guests talking about their ham radio background, and then I ask them to talk about their CW journey. So, can you start, Jack, by telling me about your ham radio background and then go right into CW?
Okay, Ron. Well, those go hand in hand because I've been a ham radio operator now for a little bit over 35 years. So, back in the day, I always say, that's what I tell my kids when I'm teaching. Back in the day, um, we had to learn CW to actually pass your Morse code portion of the tests. So, novice was 5 words, general was 13, and then the extra was 20. I was fortunate enough to have a couple guys in our club that are really amazing CW operators, and they actually became my Elmers. So, that gave me a little leg up. They'd get on 10 meters with me at night, and we'd just talk on 10 meters back and forth, and remember, we didn't have cell phones or chat rooms then to talk back and forth, so we had to do it all over CW. Yeah, so with that, and then I just kinda got the bug, and it's about the only thing I really enjoy doing anymore, and, we'll talk about why CW, I'm sure I've seen in your agenda here after this, but,
Right.
that's what got me into it. You had to have it to pass the tests. And, then I figured if I had to learn it and actually use cassette tapes in the car, if you could, you look like a kind of a young man there, but, cassette tapes, rear to reel to reel,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
we had cassette tape players in the car, and, so you just listen to it everywhere you go and just keep on copying it, and then it just, kinda caught on there for me, so
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, no, I was gonna see if you listen to record players or cassettes, but it sounds like you're a cassette guy, and that's how you learn to copy the code and along with your Elmers.
yeah, yeah, the actual cassette tapes was, a big help, but like I said, the Elmers too, when you go to their house, I'd be sitting with the guy, and, he's still around today. I hooked back up with him after all these years because I got out of ham radio for about 20 years. Many guys do that, and then we get back into it for the love of communications, but, so he's still around, and you go to his house, he'd be sitting there, he'd be copying at like 35 words a minute, not writing anything down and sitting there and giggling. He goes, "Hey, Jack, did you hear that?" And I'm like, no, I didn't hear any of that." So, but yeah, it's just fun watching those guys operate.
Very cool. All right, so you took a long break, and you're right, that is not like others, taking a little bit of break. But what got you back into the hobby?
What got me back into the hobby is I bought a Baofeng. I was amazed by how cheap ham radios have become. Because back when I was starting out as ham, I would buy a lot of used gear. I couldn't afford a lot of stuff. I was a young man, newly married, and you didn't have a lot of money. So, especially money for toys, right? So, but then I was looking one day and I just thought about, is ham radio still a thing? And I searched for a handheld on Amazon, like, I could buy a handheld for 25 bucks. So I bought one. Then I quickly found out there's really nobody on 2 meters. But then I found this thing somebody mentioned one day about an SDR, and "What is that?" And, they said, "Oh, you can listen to ham radio on the internet." And I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. Now that's pretty crazy." So I started listening and told my wife I started hearing this thing, POTA, 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 POTA. I'm like, What's this POTA stuff?" So sure enough, I brought up the webpage. I'm like, wait a minute, that looks interesting, right? A great way to get your CW speed up is to do POTA hunting because you can see their call sign. You know where they're located. All you need to do is basically send your call sign to be able to hear it. So I said, you know what? I think I'm going to get a ham radio again. She goes, what? I said, yeah. So I started looking for used rigs, and it turns out that I wanted all the bells and whistles for today. I don't know why, but I thought I might as well buy something decent. So I bought an ICOM 7300. And I told my wife it's because I got a rebate. And that was well and good until she actually seen the invoice. And that wasn't that wasn't great, but yeah, she's seen it. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'll probably have this forever. So, but yeah, so that's how I got back into it. Basically, because I seen that ham radio was getting revitalized with younger people, like you said, younger people learning CW, and they're doing this POTA stuff, and it gives you a reason to get out of the house. It gives you a reason to get out there to the parks and set up and operate portable and just have fun. Like every day could be a field day.
That's right. Every day's a field day. That should be the POTA logo.
Every day is a field day.
So Jack, you got back in, so it sounds like you didn't let your license expire, which is great.
Right. I never let my license lapse. So I made sure I always, because they're good for what is it, 10 years, I think. So, you re-up it for like 30 bucks, and I figured I'd keep it. And, I'm sure glad I did because, you never wanna let anything go. Just like I know guys that's had motorcycle license. I ride motorcycles also, and for one reason or another, they let their license they don't wanna pay for it, and they let it lapse, and then they gotta retest to get back on a bike. I didn't wanna retest, to get back into amateur radio.
Right. That's right. So you heard the POTA, but before we go into POTA, I want to talk about your draw to CW. What is it about the mode that even when you were starting in the hobby that drew you to CW, the dits and the dies?
I think well, I know why. I'll tell you why today. We'll get into that. But back then, I think it's because you were learning a language. So think if you learn Spanish or French or any foreign language and you never use it, right? You're going to lose it. So I thought I took a lot of time to learn this for this test, for this ham radio test, and I should use it. And I found that it's just enjoyable, and I tell people, when you're working DX, there's no accents, right? There's no miscommunications. A dot's a dot's a dot a dot, and they all sound the same. So, it just seems like, for me, it's a better mode, and I'm sure we can go into all the logistical things about, the smaller slice of bandwidth that you're using, and your signal's going further with less power because you don't have that sideband modulator you're trying to push out on top of it. So I think that's what kept me in CW. But getting back into it, Ron, was a little tricky. If you go back and watch my first activation video, I still watch it. I tell my wife to humble myself, and she goes, "What do you mean humble yourself?" I was actually listening to people, like, call me, right? Because I was activating, and I was actually you see where I paused and looked down, I was looking at the code sheet. I had a sheet in front of me.
Oh
Like,
no!
"W
Oh,
what is that?" "Dit, dit, dot, dit." "What is that? What is? Oh, that's an F," you know? So you had to get back and get my speed back up because back in the day, I was talking at 25 words a minute, rag chewing. Well, when you don't do it for a while, you can get really, really rusty. So that's what I had to do to get my speed back up. So right now, I like doing POTUS about 18 to 20 words a minute. Seems like the sweet spot for people.
nice. Yeah, definitely the sweet spot. Definitely when you're calling CQ at 18 to 20, you're definitely gonna get responses back. Anything
Yes.
faster, give or take, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've been hinting around it, but let's go right into POTA. So you made that first, so you got your rig, you made that first call, and you got that first one, and then you started thinking about activating. Let's talk about making the calling out the hunter, being a hunter as well as being an activator for POTA.
Yeah, and I have a lot of buddies with doing, activations on sideband, and one guy in particular, he does a lot of hunting. He won't do an activation with CW because he doesn't feel he can copy the call signs fast. I hear that all the time. I can't really copy them that fast, but that's why we have the question mark, and I'm just like anybody, maybe yourself, where if you send me a question mark, I'll send my call sign again. I don't have a problem with that, that you get people through it. But I started hunting and just to get my speed back up. And then I ended up buying a Zygu G90. And I bought the G90, I bought a battery, and I had a wire antenna. I figured, okay, go out in the field, throw this up and set up and see what I can do. And POTA is really funny. As I was just telling a buddy of mine today at the park, I was out this morning and I told him I'm not really a paper chaser, if that makes sense, like an award chaser. but you get that first award and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, I can get more of these papers," you know? I don't deliberately do it, it's kinda accidental to get those, but, so the whole POTA experience I do hunting because I've learned and I don't know if you do POTA, you probably do. Yeah, so when you're doing POTA, you'll find out that you have, like, a core group of people you talk to almost all the time you go out. They're gonna hunt you all the time. So, if I'm at home and I see your call sign on a POTA page, I'll definitely, spin the beam around and I'll try to hunt you to give you that, that contact. So, I think it's a core group of people that you meet, um, virtually, right? That you never get to actually eyeball them unless you go to Hamfest and maybe talk to somebody, but, uh, so that's the draw for POTA for me is, 1, getting out of the house. 2, just, like yourself, meeting people all over the world. I was doing a POTA day on 40 meters this morning, and a guy from England came back, and it just blew me away because when you're doing CW, you're looking for Ks, Ws, As, the normal stuff, and, you hear an M come through, and you're like, "Did I hear that right?" I asked him twice, and yeah, it was right, M8, and I was like, "Okay, well, that's cool." So, and on 40 meters, it was kinda odd to me. 20 makes sense, but 40 is kinda odd. But it was a great contact, right? And I was testing my own built antennas. I had a vertical wire up in a tree I was using, so that made it even more special. So, I think that's probably what the draw is for POTA. It's the unusual context that you're gonna make that you're not expecting.
Absolutely, and isn't amazing, especially since us being on the East Coast, Jack.
Yep.
We get on 20 and we hear the da da da, hearing that Spanish station or the French station, or sometimes the LUs come in. It's just amazing, and most of the time I'm running QRP as well, so it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's what I was running today. I was actually using my QMX with, pushing that whopping 5 watts. No.
But we definitely want to talk a little bit of home brewing. So I'm going to put that on the list here to chat about.
Okay.
But before we go there, you turned your camera on, and you just started recording your activations, or you just started turning in recording. Why'd you post it on YouTube? Can you talk with YouTube and why you started the channel?
Yeah, so that was it was more accidental. So at one point, I had 10 different YouTube channels. So I've had YouTube channels, everything from Jack's Kitchen for cooking. My students at my school love that. I teach and they're like, "Oh, I watched your meatloaf video and it was really cool." And I was like, "Yeah, but it takes a lot to do those." But motorcycling, I've been doing, I have a channel called Harley Day Rider, and I've done those for years and years, riding a Harley Davidson, talking on, about motorcycling or upgrading motorcycles. And so I was getting into ham radio. My wife said, "Oh, you're probably going to do a YouTube channel." I said, "No, this is just for me. I don't want to share this with the public. I just want to, you know, do this for myself and just enjoy the day and have some fun." Well, it turns out that I turned the camera on that first time, Ron, and I started looking. I thought, well, why don't I make a video diary of this, of what I'm doing, so I can look back and say, "Oh, I built an antenna, 2 years ago, and I was gonna maybe do it today, and man, it was horrible design, it didn't work." Then I would know. So I started sharing that. Well, the next thing you know, just like your podcast on YouTube, I started building a community, right? People that now know me and talk to me and, people that want to, put comments in. I love comments because then you get to have a two-way communication. And like you did, even when you're on the QRZ page and you said, "Hey, Jack has an email address," and you email me. I like that the most because you're carrying on the conversation, right? I get to know now, who is Ron? What does Ron do? Why does Ron like, ham radio? We get to have more of a conversation about it. Uh, because I tried FT8. I don't know if you ever tried FT8, but there's no personal connection there. Um, I think it's a great thing for very low noise, very high distant communications. It works really, really well, but there is no personalization. Well, CW is, unless you're going to rag chew with me, which nobody in POTA is going to do. So I make a POTA contact. I think that's how we met. And then you sent me an email. So we carried on the conversation, and I do enjoy that. And that's kind of where the YouTube videos fall in because as I'm out there by myself, And it was funny because the other day I was doing a video and the guy walked like, he was walking the park and kinda, like, came behind. I didn't see him. On the camera, you could see him before I would because it was pointing in his direction, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh god, he thinks I'm nuts, man." I'm sitting there talking to myself. There's nobody at the picnic table, right? So, you know, and I'm like, well, so I kinda cut it and I left that part in just so you could see him walking behind me. So I said good morning to him, and then I kept on going, but, yeah, I think that's the big reason I did the YouTube is more to, share my journey because I think there's 10,000 ham radio YouTube channels, you know that yourself, there's so many of them. But each one of us is sharing a little bit different journey of what we're trying to learn, what we're trying to do, and maybe help some other people do the same thing.
Absolutely, Jack, and definitely want to thank you for doing the YouTube channel. I've learned a lot from your channel, and
No,
definitely
thanks.
just seeing your home brewing and you putting up your beam. There's so much that you've done that I was like, huh, I want to do that. I'm gonna try, or my good old friend Jack did it, so I'm gonna do it. So
See, there you go. People said one day said, "That's kinda corny," "Your good old friend Jack," but that's kinda just a tagline for you, you know?
that's right. I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit more about home brewing. So when you got it, so maybe originally when you were doing when you're originally doing your license, did you home brew? And then what you got you into home brewing once you came back into ham radio?
Well, when I first got into ham radio, I really didn't homebrew. I didn't build anything. I mean, I just strictly I bought a Kenwood TS. I believe it was an 820. It had tube finals in it. You had to adjust the drive and everything, which I don't even know if I could do all that today. But anyway, and I put up at that time I put up a cubicle quad, so two quad elements back to back with 6 bands on it. It worked extremely well. It's called Lightning Bolt. The guy went out of business. I don't know. He might have passed away. Who knows? But now the hex beam is a big thing. So, but I started homebrewing, I think, because of Walt. I don't know if did you ever watch Walt?
Oh, salty Walt.
Oh yeah, Salty Walt. Everybody knows Walt, right?
Mhm.
And I'm watching him and thinking, this guy's building antennas with speaker wire. Well, man, I didn't know that would work. And it's funny because when I bought the Icon, I bought an antenna called a My Antenna. Right? So it's a 10 through 40 meter. I paid, I know, like probably $200 for it. And then I found Salty Walt, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't watch the video." He's like, "Buy a 9-to-1 unknown, throw a 71-foot speaker wire out the window." And I did, and it worked. Yeah, too bad I already ordered the antenna. It was already on its way, but because I would have probably canceled the order. So I didn't know you could build an antenna to be that efficient so cheaply. So that's what got me into homebrewing. Now, next thing you know, I bought a couple books on wire antennas and designs. And well, I told you earlier I used a QMX today, so I was out activating. I didn't build my QMX. I bought it, built because I don't know if I could do that. My idea of circuit boards, I built a Pico keyer, so it's an electronic keyer for my G90 because it doesn't have a built-in keyer. So I did build that, and successfully enough, I put the battery and turned on. I was like blown away. I was like, "Wow, this is great." But I've been in the computer field now for well over 25 years. I've been working like I started with MS-DOS, so being around electronics pretty much my whole life, and I'm kind of ingrained in it. But as far as building radios, I'm not really into that. Or these guys they call them boat anchors, and they readjust the finals, and I couldn't do anything like that. But building antennas, man, like I said today, you throw a wire up in a tree and you talk to England on a piece of speaker wire, for $5. It's pretty exciting what you can do yourself, and I wish more people would get into at least doing something like that, building antennas and having some fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially $5 on an antenna just to play with. I've done a couple of
Yeah.
elements. Just try it out. I will say I do have a QMX kit here sitting waiting to be built. I am very nervous. But I got my energy up to do it because I built the Pebble H up through the Ham Radio Duo. Shout out to Becky and Mike. So I got my energy up. I plugged that thing in and it worked. So now I got enough courage to build the QMX. So more to come on the podcast on whether that is successful or not.
Yeah, I've actually been looking at the QMX Plus, a buddy of mine built, and he said there's a lot more room in it,
More real.
and yeah, I'm with you. I don't know about winding all those coils. I mean, I've built my own Anans, I built my own 49-to-1 transformer. I've done a few of those. So it's funny because I have so many parts here. I could play build antennas for about the next 5 years and not run out of parts, and that's not exaggerating 'cause everything you buy, Ron, you go to Amazon, everything you buy, "Oh, a package of 40." Like, I need 1, you know? I bought capacitors the other day, it's a package of 50. I'm like, "I needed 1,"
What capacitor?
you know? We need Radio Shack back, that's what we need.
Well, yeah, yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Yeah,
Get the Radio Shack back so you don't have to buy 40 capacitors.
right, who needs 40 capacitors, you know? So if you ever need one, let me know,
Oh,
I'll mail it to you.
well, I'm good because I bought a pack too, and got 40 here. So yep, we all got 40 capacitors laying
We
around.
got 40 capacitors laying here.
Well, thanks so much for sharing about your homebrewing journey, Jack. But now I want to talk about it. You're giving back to the CW community by teaching CW. So can you talk a little bit about why you decided to teach and how's it going? A little bit about that.
Yeah, so what happened was I'm in a local radio club, so I'm actually in 2 right now, but the local one I've been in for years, and that's a funny story too, Ron. They pulled up archive, photos from, like, the '90s, and they're like, "Hey, Jack, look at this young man in this picture. You were the treasurer." I'm like, "Yeah," and now they're calling me the oldest member of the club. It's like, not consistently, you know what I mean, but maybe years-wise, but I told him, "No, no, no, I lost my seniority. I took a long break." Well, anyway, I was doing field day with these guys, and I'm the only CW operator they have for our club. So think about that. You're doing field day and you're operating for, you're trying to operate like I can usually get about 18 hours out of the 24 myself. Um, but it would be nice to have a couple more people to be able to work CW. So I started talking to the guys, and we bought this little thing here. I can't remember what it's called. Uh, I know you don't. We're not shooting video, but this little thing here, I don't know if you have one of those or not, hooks to the computer,
Oh
right?
yeah. I forget
Um,
him.
y yeah, it works with V-band.
V-band, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so it works with V-band, and, one of our guys in the club was talking about this, and I thought, "Wow, if I bought one of those, maybe we can use, like, Google Meet and do some CW classes." And they're like, "Would you be willing to do that? Give up some of your time?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna help the club out, help some people out, why wouldn't I do that?" So we started meeting once a week before field day. We had a total of 15 classes. They were from, I think, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And everybody bought these little V bands. So they had their little straight keys on their desks. And instead of going on 10 meters with band conditions like I did years ago, with propagation, we didn't have to worry about it because now you have the internet and V band, and it was perfect code. So I would send them something, they would send me something back, or I would send strings of. So the idea here was getting people used to the exchange for field day. Okay, so you had to be able to copy call signs, which we did a lot of those. Then we did um, uh, qualifiers, your 4As, your 1As, whatever. And then we started working on sections. So I started putting all different sections, and I would send like 4 or 5, and I'd say, "Okay, Ron, send me the 3rd one back." And you'd have to send it back. We wouldn't talk about it, you would just send it back to see if you got it right. So and the people of the club and the class, felt that it was more realistic than just listening to it because now you had to copy it, right?
Absolutely.
Right, so if you're listening, I use a lot of CW Ninja. I mean, that guy's amazing for what he's given the community,
Absolutely.
and, I if you miss something in the course, like, okay, so I missed a W, I don't care. But if I'm sending you and this is, we're talking, trying to learn, you had to copy those 5 whatevers and send me the 3rd one back. So it was good practice and, we could talk more about CW, I'm sure, but so that's why I started the class, and, I know there's Long Island CW clubs and all those, different organizations, but again, this was just strictly like a club thing. I was doing it for our ham radio club, just giving back to them guys, and it worked out really well. I mean, they were really good. Come field day, I had one guy, he made 30 contacts when I went to bed, on 80 meters, because I went to sleep at, like, midnight, got up at 4, get back on air, but he, So and that was great. The year before, I think he made like 3, so he was just blown away that he had a little bit more confidence to copy. He was doing what we call, hunt and pounce. You know, you listen, 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 then you get them. You get to copy their stuff down, and I programmed the radio with, with the fast key, so you just push the button, and it sent our call sign out. So, the other guys weren't and I tell them in school too, I tell my high school kids that I can't teach patience and I can't teach confidence. You have to have confidence, right? You can learn CW wrong until the end of the day, but until you turn the radio on and you turn your and start typing, tapping on your key or do whatever you're doing, that's when you're going to start learning it. Because then you have to listen. So I think that's a big part of it. But that's why I started the classes mainly it was for field day. We're going to reinitiate them again. I told them we're going to reinitiate them probably in November to get ready for winter field day in January.
Very cool. Very
So
cool. Can't teach patience. You can't teach confidence. I love it. Absolutely. Wow. So yeah, that's a lot of on CW, and thanks for sharing that. But before we move on, I do want to thank you for what you're contributing to the CW community. I want to share a big shout out to my Rochester Area Radio Association, CW Elmer, Tim, WB2PAY, for what he does for our club. He does similar. We listen to his code and we try to copy. And of course, I'm part of Long Island CW and I've been done CW ops thing, but it is something about the local Elmers that just help you out along the way, which I truly appreciate. So keep doing what you do.
oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
All right, so we are going to go into the rapid fire section of the podcast where I ask you a question and you can only answer in 1 or 2 words, answers only. So, are you ready for rapid fire, Jack?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right, here we go. Current sending speed, words per minute.
20
Paddle, bug, or stray key?
paddle.
What's your favorite Poda rig?
I would say now it has to be the Yaesu 891.
Great rig. Love that rig. What is your favorite key?
I would have to say the one I have at home, I'm using a bencher.
Oh, the bencher. Nice.
Yep.
Do you like QRP or do you like the power QRO?
It all depends on the band conditions. Like today, I knew it was great out, so I'm like, I'm gonna take the QMX out and give it a little roll. But if the band conditions are in the yellow, then the 891's going with me. And I only turn it on 50 watts. So let's say, that's a hard one answer, but, yeah, it definitely depends. We'll just call it band conditions.
Conditions. That's good. At 50 watts, the 891 is plenty of power and that thing never gets hot. So,
Oh, no, it runs and the battery, I bought a 20 amp hour, it'll last all day.
all day long. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the 1 2 word answers. Favorite antenna?
Is it portable you're asking or anything?
Both. One for the shack and one for portable.
Favorite antenna at home is the hex beam,
Nice.
obviously.
Of course.
Favorite antenna portable, and I have a lot of them, is the JPC 12 vertical.
JPT 12. There we go. You need even the variation with radiality then, right? Because I think that's a similar antenna.
Yeah. I also have the radiality antenna, but and it's great too. I mean, it's perfect too. I mean, the only thing different is I don't know if you have the radiality one. If you're carrying it, it weighs more.
Oh,
They both work extremely well, but the JPC 7, I mean, the JPC 12, you could just throw it up and it just tunes really easily. So, I mean, they're both great antennas, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick one I've been going to lately, I just purchased another one, so, we could talk about that after the show, I'll tell you, but, um, so, yeah, so that's something else, and that's for more for portability and speed of, deploying,
JPT 12.
so,
So we'll put
yeah.
that. What is your favorite contest or event?
The favorite contest would be play the worldwide CQ/CW contest. I really enjoy that. I kinda set those weekends aside to sit and operate, and I always tell people I'm not really a competitor, I'm a contender. I'm not a contender, I'm a competitor. So I'm not going to ever win. I know this, but I have a blast doing it. You get to talk to so many countries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Well, your DXCC in the weekend if you really wanted to.
yeah, you could do that in a weekend.
All right. And are you a morning gray line operator or a late night operator?
Definitely morning,
Corey? And the
morning.
last one, and doesn't have to be one or two word answer, but just tell me about your most memorable QSO.
Most memorable QSO. Hmm. It had to be with this guy named Ron. It was a POTA contact, and he was just amazing operator. And you know, most memorable contact. I don't. That's hard to say. I mean, because you talk to so many people.
Oh,
It had to be. Here's one.
there we go.
So the most memorable one I tell everybody about. I talked to a 71-year-old man, and as we were Ragchew, and he explained to me that he was blind. So now you know for sure he's not writing anything down, right? He's head copying everything you're saying to him, and, it was a very long conversation, and, that had to be one of the most memorable, I would say.
Very cool. All right, Jack. Well, we're going to wrap up the rapid fire question and we're going to wrap up the podcast. But before we do, I always ask my guests to give final advice to newish CW operators. What would you share with them?
So, the best thing I could share with people is when you're learning CW, and probably every op's gonna tell you this, uh, you can listen to like I said, you can listen to CW Ninja, you can copy and copy and copy and copy until the end of the day. You can even practice sending. You can have an oscillator, and I think those are kind of, I don't know, kind of worthless because you can turn your radio and you can, you know, turn off the sending part of your radio, and you can just practice with your radio. But my actual advice to everybody, get on the air, you know, talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be a rag chew. Do a POTA contact. Start getting your call out there, and there's 2 important things. Be able to copy your call sign, I would say up to at least 30 words a minute, be able to hear it, and be able to hear your name, right? Because if I'm doing POTA and I say, "Oh, good morning, Ron," I don't want you to come back with, "Okay, 79 or 599," and you're gone, right? You should say, if you could see the name, see the guy's name, you'd be like, "Good morning, Jack," because you know I sent your name, right? So those are 2 very important things to be able to copy. So, but yeah, that's the biggest advice is get on the air. Don't be afraid. And I was talking to my buddy today. There is no CW police. Trust me. The FCC is not going to come to your house and be like, "Oh, you sent an F instead of an L. What's the matter with you?" And that's not going to happen, and get what I told you earlier. Gain some confidence, right? And when you listen over the air, because it was funny at field day, they're like, "Jack, this doesn't sound the same as V-band." I said, "No, there was no static. There was no bleed over. It You have to be able to hear stuff in between the noise, right, and copy stuff." So that's my advice.
I love it. I think it's great advice and definitely want to thank you for giving that to the audience. So, Jack, this is the time we're going to wrap up. I'm going to wish you a best 73 and thank you so much for joining me.
Hey, 73's Ron. I definitely hope to catch you on the airway again. I mean, that's what started all this, right?
Uh,
We made a contact, you sent me an email, and now I'm on the greatest show, the greatest podcast on the internet. So just remember that, people.
I appreciate that, Jack, and I definitely thank you again. And 73 to you.
73's Ron. Thank you.